guys. Actually it's not morning, it's now 12:30, but I'm going to go through some morning bits with you this morning. What I see when I speak to people is a lot of them tell me that they haven't got time for breakfast, or they're not too sure what to have for breakfast, or like us all, Special K, Cocoa Pops, Weetabix, they believe that they're having, the right kind of foods that they need to set them up for the day. Afraid to say no. So I'm going to give you sort of 4 or 5 ideas for breakfast. Really, really simple things that you can do. Some of them, like what I'm going to show you in a moment, that you can do the night before, and it's actually better to prepare it the night before. My boys absolutely love it. So I've made one already overnight, because the one that we had this morning was a lot bigger and it's already gone. But I'll show you, obviously what I kind of do to set myself up for the day and my family. And some of the things also you can take with you as well. So if you leave early in the morning, like I do some mornings, I'm out of the house at 6 a.m. I don't want to eat at that time. I literally, take it in the car or on the train and have it later. So I'm going to start off, you all read about it, you see that day to day is basically granola, but not just granola with milk, something that you can make overnight and let it absorb with, fruit and other flavours and stuff as well. A lot of people don't have dairy now. They go to other forms of milk, whether it's kind of coconut, almond. I used to use a lot of almond milk, but recently, at the end of last year, I've started to make my own milk at home, either my own almond milk or actual pumpkin seed milk. I'm not going to make it in front of you because it's kind of a lengthy process and actually a boring one as well to watch. So I've made some yesterday, which has obviously been in the fridge and is in here now, but I will put the details onto the video of how you can make it if you want to. It's not easy to do, so for anybody that's kind of starting out with ideas for breakfast, some of these things wait. Just get on top of having a healthy breakfast and kind of buying the foods that you need to buy, and then you can kind of be a bit more adventurous with the things that you want to make sure that you can kind of make from home. Everything that I've got today, unless it's kind of Pacific kind of product like matcha powder, is from Waitrose, and also I use a company called Riverford, which is an organic farm. They do fruit, vegetable, meats, dairy products, and they're absolutely fantastic if you live down here in Dorset. So they're the kind of places that I shop day to day and where I get my food from. So what I'm going to start with first is a nutty granola mix. It's really, really easy. All of you would have most definitely heard of this lady by now. If you haven't, you've probably seen it in the supermarket and walked past it, because there are so many options when it comes to granola, to muesli, to breakfast cereals, but this by far over the years is my favourite. Doesn't contain any nasties, doesn't have any sugar, doesn't have any horrible preservatives. Deliciously Ella and her husband and the whole company around them are very much into sort of healthy living and healthy lifestyle. So this is always on our shopping list on a week-to-week basis. I don't just use it for breakfast. I make flapjacks out of it, nut balls, put it in my smoothies in the morning with my protein shake. If I don't want breakfast, I put a couple of handfuls in. So it's really versatile with what you kind of want to do. And I think when it comes to food and kind of teaching people, it's don't be scared. It doesn't matter if you cook it and then you eat it and it's disgusting, at least you've tried. There's so many cookbooks out there, but the only really way to kind of fall in love with the kitchen and fall in love with your food is just to experiment. What I like, you might not like. So with some of the things today, you might not be a fan of eggs, for example, but I love eggs, and some of you just might think, well, granola's a bit boring. So I'm going to kind of try and mix it up with things that, you can kind of introduce into your breakfast on a day-to-day basis. So granola, really, really easy to do. Best to do overnight. So I tend to cook the dinner, play with the boys, put them to bed, have my dinner, clean the kitchen, and then this literally takes a couple of minutes. Don't need to measure either. So for me, this is our kind of normal size. This would do myself and my 2 boys, and sometimes left over as well. So basically all you're doing is just tipping in the granola as much as you want. I'm not going to fill it up to the top because I've got one already in the fridge that I've done this morning for tomorrow. Mixed berries, frozen berries are fantastic. You can just keep them in the freezer. There's different varieties. You can just use apples, you can have just blueberries, you can have strawberries, raspberries, or you can go for mix. So it's completely up to you, what you prefer to do. So I like to layer with the fruit and more granola, and then I kind of add different ingredients and different flavours into it as well. So my hands are washed, but I'm not going to show you that because it's pretty boring to watch, but I've just washed them prior to obviously starting to film. So literally, it's all about layering. And this is why my boys, I think, love it, because overnight in the morning, the kind of colours of the berries have kind of gone through and it looks like this purple concoction, which, you know, age 3-year-old boy, everything at the moment is about slime and, you know, all those things that boys love. So literally, I've just put another topping on top. I'm now just going to put some more berries and they're going to run away and fall all over the floor. Your hands can get covered in berries, so once you kind of finish loading them up, just quickly give them a wipe or a wash. And then, depending on what you like, or some foods you might not have even heard of. So Chia Seeds is a huge favourite of mine. It's something that I actually have day to day, whether it's in my cereal, in my salads or my evening meals. I also give it to my son as well, or both my sons, because it's actually really good for stomach, to help kind of shift things along, let's say. So in here, I've just put two spoonfuls. Everything kind of sits on top and then you give it a good shake after. I'm a huge fan of Manuka honey as well, so I'll put that on at the end. For those of you that like something a little bit sweeter, you can add maple syrup to it, or, you know, to change the flavour throughout the week, you can kind of add honey and maple syrup as well. I then add a tiny little bit of vanilla extract. Again, you don't need to measure. I'm a cook that doesn't measure, even when it comes to banana bread. I am going today, and I'll put obviously how much you need, but over time you'll kind of just get used to what's 40 grams of butter and, you know, how much flour you need. And touch wood, it's never gone wrong for me so far. So depending on what milk you want to use, you just literally fill the granola. And what happens, it won't stay like this. Overnight it kind of absorbs into the granola. You can layer it with strawberries, but I tend to like to keep them till the morning, till I do that. There's also things, I absolutely love this company, a company called Press. So a lot of people would have heard about matcha. You can get matcha in Starbucks, in absolutely everywhere on your coffee. It's a fantastic product. So literally, again, I just take a spoonful. When the boys are having it, I don't tend to overload with all of these things because sometimes it can just be a little bit too much for them because they're only 3.5 and 2.5. Even though I want them to have a healthy lifestyle and the food choices, there's some things at the moment that their stomachs, you know, are still very, very delicate. So I'm quite selective of what I put in when I'm going to be sharing it with them. And for those of you that have a little sweet tooth, cocoa nibs. They're a little bit sour, but it does give you that nice kind of texture as well. So literally, you can just put whatever you want in here. I then literally kind of turn it upside down, so make sure you've got a jar that's not going to explode everywhere. And then all you do now is leave that in the fridge overnight, and it will kind of change consistency. So this one I've done overnight. I've done it in a lot smaller, so it's not going to quite look the same. This is actually in one of my to-go coffee pots, but I use it in the morning when I'm on the train. So as you can see, if you can see that up close, all the oats and the granola's kind of expanded because it's absorbed the milk, the chia seeds, and then you've got the kind of berry compote on top. I'll show you what it looks like on a spoon, but literally it's very, very moist, and it's fantastic, and you can have it for breakfast. You can have it as an afternoon snack before going to the gym, or for those of you that have a sweet tooth in the evening and you're trying to get off chocolate or the biscuit tin, this is just great to kind of have. If I make it today, it will last a couple of days in the fridge, so you haven't got to eat it all in one go. So that's my first kind of idea and suggestion, which is granola. Mixed with whatever you want it to be. You tend to see these daily in magazines, newspaper articles, cookbooks, but just don't be scared to experiment. You know, there's not going to be anything in it that's going to taste, you know, disgusting, but do try, as I kind of call them, introduce like superfoods, so things like chai, matcha. You make sure you're getting your fruit and your berries and stuff as well. If you're not a fan of dairy, we don't tend to have much dairy in our household because my boys are allergic. So we either have almond milk bought from the shop, oat milk, or most recently I've been making my own pumpkin seed milk. which I'll obviously give you the recipe as well. So yeah, there we go. So hope you like it, but obviously let me know, and yeah, go from there really.